Hello, West Ham Network. It's Holly. So, while the Man City game ended with us losing 3-1, it actually felt like quite a positive performance in comparison to what we're used to, probably facing sides in the top six. So, today I'm going to be chatting through the differences that we are starting to see in the ways that we're setting up under Lopetegui so far. As always, though, I'm really keen to hear your thoughts. So, drop us a comment with anything that you've noticed that you think is different under Lopetegui so far. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. So, let's get started. Now, the first difference, I think, is that we actually put up a fight against a top side from the very beginning as well, from kickoff. Because overall, while the scoreline doesn't reflect an equal game or an equal performance, Man City had to work really hard to beat us. And we gave them a pretty good game, I would say. So the first few minutes of the game in particular showed something that we've not seen in a very long time. And it was us looking to attack a side that traditionally we'd sit back and we'd be nervous about and we'd try and play on the counter, but we'd have no intention of holding possession and actually playing a nice game of football, because all we want to do is try and get them on the break and not have any confidence in our own ability. But ultimately, what actually cost us was a few individual errors, which gave Haaland the chance to get through on goal. And he's in incredible form. He scored 2 hat-tricks in a row. So we needed to be on the ball to stop him getting any opportunities. And unfortunately, it was those individual mistakes, which were only momentary decisions, which did cost us. And yeah, their first goal was the result of a sloppy pass, which we couldn't recover. They made a really quick pass to Haaland. He took one touch and fired it into the back of the net. Second goal, they managed to pull it back to the edge of the box, where again, they got it to Haaland, who set up the goal with a single touch and then smashed it in. And then for the third goal, we'd started pushing up to attack. They had one pass. It bypassed most of our midfield. Mavropanos committed, pushed up, dived in, and then one good pass later. Again, Haaland was through on goal. So it was a difficult one. And one of the things that we struggled to defend against was City bringing the ball into the box, because we all, obviously with the speed that they were bringing it in, ran in with them. But then they pulled it back to the edge of the box where they had players sitting and waiting, completely unmarked, to either take a shot or get the angle open that they wanted. So that was, I think, where we really struggled to sort of recover it. But then again, City were so quick with their passing that it's not easy to pick these players up. We were always going to find it difficult against them, but it is something that we need to do better with. And I don't think it's something that's particularly easy with City. It's something that they do against a lot of sides that they face. So it's not the biggest ever criticism, but I think that was one of the areas that we really struggled, because that's how they opened us up. So that is the first thing, is that I felt like, other than the mistakes that we made, which led to conceding goals, we actually looked like we weren't afraid to give it a go against the top side, which I'm a massive fan of, because that's all I've wanted us to do for years. Now, for the second noticeable thing that's creeping into the way that we've been playing, is that we look so much more positive overall in the way that we play. So against City, we kept the ball on the ground more, whereas we had been hoofing it, which concerned me a little bit at the beginning under Lopetegui. We kept possession better, and we did try to pass through the lines. Again, against City, this isn't a great demonstration, because they're very good at what they do, but it made it uncomfortable for Man City, which says a lot. Now, I'm going to show you a comparison of the City game this time versus when we lost 3-1 to them last season on the 19th of May. So as you can see, this time around, we did a lot less sitting back. I've got the logo covering that, but that says just there 24-25 on the right-hand side. So we managed to get 24 touches in their box and 10 shots. So unfortunately, only 2 of these were on target, which we will hopefully be able to improve on if we're able to play Fulkrug a bit more and play in a way that will give him the service that he needs. We'll touch on that on another day. But we had Antonio on for the first 71 minutes, and he was pretty ineffective. So it might be a situation that's just going to need a little bit of time to resolve. But what this shows is that we did create chances, and there's a visible improvement in the way that we played against City this time, despite the scoreline, compared to how we played them last time. And there were the individual errors, there were the struggles to convert chances. But other than that, on the whole, we played a more positive game of football. Now, the next point that I want to bring up is that we did, in fact, travel Excuse that buzzer there. But what I was trying to say is that we travelled up the pitch as a unit. And last season, there was a clear lack of movement off the ball. And it meant that when we did get the occasional chance, there was nobody for us to pass to. There was nobody for us to get the ball to. There were no outlets. And ultimately, our attempts were all wasted. So against City, we regularly saw Bowen, Kudus, Wan-Bissaka, Antonio, Paqueta all pushing up when we had possession. And this was what enabled us to pull City's defence across and ultimately allow Bowen to get the goal that he did. And this wasn't a one-off in the way that we actually approached the game, because Wan-Bissaka in particular, I'm so happy with how he's playing for us, can I just say at this moment in time. But he did incredibly to push up the pitch and be an option for 1-2s constantly. And we ended up getting 24 touches in the box and 10 shots in total. And I think that this eagerness to attack as a unit, rather than one or two players going, made a real difference with this. And I think that it just was a far more unified attack. I think it made it a lot harder to be defended against as well, because when we were pushing up as a unit, if only two of us had gone for that Bowen goal, I don't think we'd have scored it, because suddenly you get closed down and you've got two or three players on the person that's attacking, two or three on the only other option that they've got. Because we pushed up about 5 or 6 of us, City's defence was completely split. And it meant that when we play on the break and when we play quickly like that, we can actually capitalise on that. So it's another thing that I'm really excited about, because it feels like we're getting bodies forward. Now, another thing that I think we've definitely been guilty of in recent seasons is basically accepting our fate when we go a couple of goals down. And we didn't give up this time, and we made positive substitutions, which is something we've really not done in a while. So having had such an amazing transfer window obviously does help us with squad selection and the ability to make substitutions. But we actually have picked players that aren't just random players that a manager wants or that somebody thinks is good, but people that can impact the game from what we're seeing so far, and can actually allow us to tactically switch things up in the way that we're playing. They're not always a like-for-like replacement. It might mean that we can change the system slightly. It might mean that we can utilise the wings a bit better. So there's a lot more that we can do with the players that we can bring off the bench. It's not just fresh legs, or in the case of last season, fresh legs, which are also probably worse than the people that have tired legs on the pitch. So instead of just accepting that loss and looking to minimise damage, which we used to do always towards the end of games, which was just horrible. It was horrible sitting in a stadium, seeing us 2-0 down, just trying to stop conceding the third goal instead of actually bringing it to them. Because at that moment in time, you've got nothing to lose. Goal difference doesn't really matter, especially at this point in the season. You just need to give it a go, because we have the talented players to be able to score these goals and to be able to recover points when we do go a couple of goals down. That said, against City, obviously it's going to be a difficult one, but I think against other teams, this is where this approach is going to really benefit us. But we kept trying to create those chances until the final whistle, right up until the end. Somerville, in the dying moments, he curled a shot in, which the keeper managed to get his hand to, but we didn't give up. And this was so refreshing to actually see, because it felt like, obviously, when we started committing to try and get a goal, you do open yourself up. And against a team like City, it becomes difficult to keep Haaland away from your goal. But it did feel like we could have scored. And if they hadn't scored their third, we had opportunities to score the second and rescue a point. So there were a lot of signs that we're not just going to be one of those teams now that's afraid of facing top sides. And instead, we might actually give them a really exciting game. So those were the 4 main areas that I think we're starting to look a little bit different in. We've all been looking for signs of what Lopetegui's style of play is going to be, what it's going to look like, what's going to be different. But realistically, it's going to take some time for us to, first of all, work out the starting 11. Secondly, get all the players firing on all cylinders. And thirdly, for him to just work out what he wants to do and I think adapt this style of play, which is what we've needed to do for seasons, to the opponents, not just have a style of play that is how West Ham play, but instead work out who you're playing and whether you're best going down the wings, whether you're best playing the occasional long ball, whether you're best passing through the line. So there are so many different ways that you can play, and the best teams can identify multiple styles of play and then put them into practice when it's best and when it's going to benefit you because of the opponents that you're facing. So I'm hoping that this is what we're starting to see the beginning of, and that's why maybe it's been a little bit slow to actually spot what the style of play is. I'm really happy to see that we're not playing loads of long balls in every single game, because we were playing quite a few in the last game, and I thought, oh, this is concerning because it just wasn't coming off for us. But I think it's just going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of patience, which we all knew. But I think we are starting to see a few things showing up. And the one that I'm most happy about personally, and obviously let me know what you think in the comments with all of these. Are there any other things you've noticed? What are you most happy about? What are you concerned about? I want to hear all of your thoughts. But what I'm most excited about is the fact that we look like we want to bring the game to the opponents. We don't care who it is. And we want to play the best that we can, and that we're not going to sit back and try and protect a point. And it's a far more exciting style of football. And I know that it's what a lot of fans, myself included, have wanted for many, many seasons, which is just us having the confidence to give it a go. If we give 100% and we end up losing 3-1 to City, who have Haaland up top, who's almost impossible to play against at the moment, then so be it. But I'd far rather we do that than we try and protect a clean sheet and end up losing 2-0. So that's my opinion anyway, but let me know what you think. I definitely think there are some things we can do differently, like starting Fulkrug instead of Antonio, because he really struggled to make any impact. But I think it's just going to take some time for everyone to adjust to the ways that the new players play, so that we can have a bit more of a fluid style. And for Lopetegui to work out how to get the best out of every single player and how he wants to play depending on the opponent. And I think that could be a winning formula, but it is going to take some time. So now we've got the international break, so we can work on that balance for our starting 11. And hopefully the positive improvements that we've started to spot from the City game will continue to grow. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the City game was the best game that we've ever played. There were patches where we were really uninspiring. After about the 4-minute mark, it was a bit disappointing that we didn't carry that on. But I saw sparks of signs of things that I think we can really, really work on. And we've now got multiple players who are exciting, and it feels like everyone's eager to get the ball, to push forward and to push forward as a unit. And I think that unity and that eagerness to attack is something that we've not had in quite a while. So personally, I'm pretty happy with the signs that we're seeing so far. I'm going to hang in, stay patient, and hopefully be proven right that this is the beginning of what Lopetegui's style of play and his approach is, which is attacking football. So yeah, and also I think if we can play like this against City, then we basically denied all players again apart from Haaland from scoring, which isn't an easy feat, and he just appears to be unstoppable at the moment anyway. So I don't think you can be too hurt that he's got the second hat trick in a row against you. But I do think that if we can do this against other teams, with the likes of Fulham and Chelsea coming up, I really, really do think that we'll make it very difficult for them, and we could snatch some good points. So that's my take on everything, but I want to know what you think. So drop us a comment down below and let us know your expectations having seen the City game. And make sure, of course, you give this video a thumbs up. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on so you never have to miss a video. That's all from me for now, but tune in at 5 p.m. Like I said, get involved in that conversation down below, because we are going to be talking a lot more in detail about your comments and your thoughts in the coming weeks. I'm going to be running through your Hammers headlines at 5 p.m. and I look forward to chatting to you then. Until next time, have a great day. Come on, you Irons.